That one. Almost forgot that. I had to turn my charger around because the charger and the USB-C, like, they don't work together.
Sometimes on my laptop, I'll have to unplug the whole thing and then plug it back in for charging.
Yeah.
You know why it does that?
It's never been.
Oh, I know. But I had to turn the charger around because running. Yeah. Well, now running the way it runs, it's like it's now it's got a bend in the cable, but there's.
What?
No, I'm saying, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's just, that's the way it's gonna have to be.
Don't you switch places into move the computer to the end and the thing to the side?
Cause I'm always using my right hand here and it's just, it's. Also, then I'd be more in the corner and not able to come out, and it's fine. I'm just gonna have to do some rearranging. It's all right. We'll figure it out. We've been casting wirelessly forever, but we've had some issues and now we're changing it to cable. So this will be gone next week. It won't be out here in the middle for everybody to trip over.
Can
Get
I
it.
borrow a pencil?
Yeah. Do you see
Yeah, I
that
think
email about
everyone-
pencils?
What?
Yeah. Did you see my email talking about Emma brought pencils this morning?
Yeah.
Emma was like, "Oh, here, I have pencils for you."
Well,
Uh-huh.
what happened was, you guys ordered these pencils. No wonder they're so much. I'll take my favorite.
Oh
color.
no, hang on, I'm stuck.
I forgot some. I was like, oh shoot, I need some pencils, and then I remember, and then we have like a ton of pencils because you know how my mom runs
Yeah.
homeschool group. So
Yeah.
she has like a ton of pencils.
Mhm.
So I just kind of stole one from her collection.
There you go.
Or
Well,
I stole a bunch.
I bought a big box of pencils a while back and somehow they've all gotten lost. I know a lot of it is Drew sit on the couch or somewhere and then he'll put one down and it'll get lost. Like I'm sure I'm gonna have to pull the couch apart at some point. There's probably 30 pencils in there. You know how that goes, but homeschool problems.
Yep.
Homeschool problems. We will figure it out. That's why it's in your now. Because out here you have a general and battle and all similar schools. Don't get. They're all similar. Oh, hey, hey. What's up? What do you think of it? How does it? Yes, it goes. It goes, it goes. No. What's up, Nico? Does it go for you too? It goes. I'm sleepy all week. Yesterday I was sleepy. Yesterday I had an appointment. This is so weird. Yesterday I had an appointment to go get my TSA pre-check stuff done. So it was at a Staples all the way over by Mall of Georgia and Buford. So I drive over there and I'm just tired. I'm like, oh, in the morning, I'm so tired. So I decided to go buy a Dunkin' Donuts on the way home and get me a latte. I'm like, I'll get me a latte, right? That'll wake me up. So the lady at the that was running the window, the drive-through window, the speaker was terrible. So I had trouble hearing her, and she had a thick accent too. So between the accent and the speaker, I was like, pardon? So I asked for a medium-sized latte and I wanted them to add the sugar-free almond and sugar-free coconut syrup. This is not a hard order, okay? I get to the window and she's still asking me questions. Now there's no speaker and I still can't understand her because now I'm hearing the car engine running and the windows down and the windows blown and there's cars on the road, right? So I just said, yeah, that's what I want. So she hands me this big old cup and I'm like, all right. And I take a sip and I'm like, there's no coffee in this. She just gave me milk with coconut syrup and almond syrup in it. Who drinks that? Nobody drinks that. I'm like, and I even said to her, because she said, just one, you want the syrup, right? And I was like, yes, in the latte, there's coffee in it, right? I actually said to her, there's coffee in it, right? Because she looked real confused. What? So I got home and I poured that out. So I was like, well, this is useless. I don't need a glass of milk that tastes weird. It's not even like it's chocolate milk or strawberry milk. It's like, who wants coconut almond milk? Nobody wants that.
What I would have done is I would have ordered just another black coffee and you could just pour it in.
I should, yeah, then I'd get back in my car and go back though, and I wasn't about to do that. I got myself, I like pulled out of there, got to the stoplight, opened up my straw, punched the straw and took a sip and I'm like, what is this? I'm not sure. This is not what I wanted. This is weirdness.
Thursday 11.
They should be coming. Yeah, they're probably just, I'm gonna give them just a second. They may just be a little bit late, because you know, it's that road out there, there's so much construction.
Yeah.
And they come down McGinnis Ferry. Do you guys come down? Do you
Yeah.
come down?
I come.
You come from, I know where you come from, so you don't have to hit most of that. Actually, you can avoid almost all of it the way you come. But
We had lots of traffic.
yeah.
And then we turn left into your community.
Yeah.
Good video.
Do you go in the front entrance of the
Yeah.
neighborhood? Oh, y'all should come in the back. It would be easier for you guys to come in the back from the direction you're coming.
Oh yeah, my dad said about this other route that you go like out of that and then you go through the back of the community.
Yes, that's way faster for you guys. You guys should do that.
That's $1 more.
Cause you guys, do you come out of your neighborhood and go up to the CVS in the public?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you do that and you turn left,
And then you turn left and then you just go straight and then you turn left.
yeah, don't do that. Go up to the light at James Burgess where the fire station is. Go left there. Make your very first right on Southers and it takes you to the back. That's way faster.
I
Yeah,
know that's.
but I know they come down to Guinness, so they gotta deal with all the construction. You know, it'll be so nice when they get the road widened, but they said it's a 5-year project and I believe it, cause
I will be 18 in 5 years.
yeah, right, and then
Almost 19.
by then you'll be driving here by yourself and it'll finally be cleared out, cause it's a mess. I mean, just such a mess, but hey, I'm looking forward to it being done.
I'm kind of slow with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, everybody is. Well, you know what happened the last time? When they widened, so they widened a couple years ago, they finished the widening of Old Atlanta from James Burgess towards 141.
Oh, I remember that.
Right? Yeah, because you were living over here. Yep. So once they did that widening, they started it and then they stopped. And the whole world is like, why are we stopping? Why aren't we moving on? And the reason they stopped is because the contractor that they hired to do that project, like they went under or something. So they had to wait and hire another contractor. It was insane. All righty, gang. Shall we? Let's see. So today we are continuing our electromagnetic spectrum and we're doing some lessons today on light wavelength and color, and we're gonna actually play some like color related games too, which should be kind of fun. Test how well you see. All right, so we're gonna talk about how is light produced. All righty then. Everybody good? You ready to go? You've memorized, yeah. All right, let me get their stuff open. Nico's still flipping. Carlos is flipping. We're flipping. All right, sources of light. What do you call something that gives off its own light, Darcy?
Luminous?
Yes, luminous. Okay, gives off its own light. So common sources are things like incandescent, fluorescent, laser neon, tungsten halogen, and sodium vapor. So we're actually going to look at examples of each of these, and you're going to have to tell me what's what just by a picture of the type of light. So here's a question. Is the moon luminous?
Yes.
No.
No.
Who says yes?
No.
Who votes yes? Ah, good. Everybody votes no. Why is the moon not luminous?
Because the sun and the moon is reflecting.
Yeah, it's reflecting the sun's light.
Yeah.
Did anybody see the moon last night?
Yes.
I saw the moon.
What did it look like last night?
It looked like it was fake.
It was huge, wasn't it? And it was golden and really low on the horizon last night when Drew and I were coming home from gymnastics practice. And it was so big that it was almost distracting me. He was driving, so I'm trying to, do the permitted driver thing. But I kept saying every time we come around a bend, I'm like, "Look again, Drew." He's like, "Mom," I said, like, it's huge.
You're like, yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
can
we
tell
didn't
me-
notice it till we like turned off of the main road and started going down smaller roads because we came down 285 a long way. And then we were looking at there were brake lights everywhere. They do construction at night. So.
This morning.
Was it out still?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I woke up and I saw it this morning.
Do you remember Buzz Aldrin yelling at the moon? Do you remember
Yeah.
that video from first semester? Okay, first quarter. So yeah, so you've got incandescent, fluorescent, laser, neon, tungsten, halogen, and sodium vapor. So let's see. Incandescent lights. Here's what incandescent lights are. This is light produced when an object gets hot enough to glow. So incandescent light give off lights in all colors of the visible light: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, all that stuff. Okay, this is your old school light bulb. Your like Edison style bulbs and the ones after that we've had, not LED light bulbs, but the old school light bulbs. Anything that gets so hot that it glows. What is glowing in a light bulb? Do you know what that is that's glowing in the light bulb that makes it give off light?
Is it?
Or what, like, I'm not asking what chemical it's made of, but it's like, it's a wire. We call it a filament. You ever seen the light bulb blow? Y'all are almost at the age where you probably have had LED light bulbs most of your life, but a light bulb will blow and it'll go pop. And when you look at it, there's like this smoky dark color inside, and that's because the little filament finally broke, and that's usually when you replace them.
That happened in my bathroom a few months ago, but it's
Yeah.
got 2 lights in there, so I haven't replaced it.
Yeah, and LEDs are different. So then we also have our fluorescent bulbs. Okay, so fluorescent bulbs, you get an electric current and it's going through a gas within a tube, and it causes UV light to come in contact with powder. There's a phosphor powder, and they put that coating in the tube, and that produces the light. These are really, really common in industrial usage, and we have them in our homes too, but usually they're often in closets and things like that. Like I have one in my pantry and one in my laundry room, and they're usually the big long tubes.
We used to have
Right?
some in our kitchen. My mom hated. Oh yeah.
Sometimes they flash and they hum.
We had one in our. We had one in baseball.
My old house had two it was in the kitchen, and you put it in that big, they call it like a baffle. It's like it almost looks like the thing you snap a battery into, right? Yeah.
We in our old storm shelter.
Yeah.
My mom hated them.
So then we get neon lights, and these are the fun ones. So this is emitted when electrons move through a gas or a mixture of gases inside a tube. And we're going to learn a little bit about neon light. So the thing about neon light is, so neon is an element, right? It's a noble gas.
Yeah.
Which means it's inert, which means it doesn't like interact with other things. It doesn't become part of compounds typically. So there are several, there's xenon and neon, there's argon, there's a whole bunch of them, right? And they all produce a slightly different wavelength of light. So when you see the different colors of neon, sometimes it's actually neon, sometimes it's neon and one of these other noble gases, but they also tint the color of the glass tubing that it's in. So like you get a combination of the types of gases and the tubing, and that's how you get the different colors of neon lights. And neon lights are the kind that can bend into like any shape, right? And now they're even making those out of LEDs because LEDs are more efficient and they're brighter and they don't die. Sodium vapor. Okay, so this is when you have your current passing through a heated gas mixture and it causes sodium to change from a solid into a gas. These are really, really, where do you see these? Do you know where these are most common? Parking lots and street lights. You know those yellow amber lights?
Yeah.
Those are sodium vapor lights. Yep. And then we have tungsten halogen. All right. So these you have electrons that flow through a tungsten filament containing halogen gas. And then the filament gets really hot and it emits light. A lot of these are the ones with like 2 prongs on them, like the ones that are up here. Those are halogen. Halogen are really, really bright. In the 90s, halogen lighting became like a really popular thing. And a lot of people had halogen torch lamps. So those are, you may have seen them. You might have like a grandma or somebody who still has one around, but it had like a little round base and then a pole that went up, and then it looked like a bowl at the top and it hit the ceiling. The light hit the ceiling. It was a torch light. But
I have
halogen
one
lights,
of those.
real popular,
I
yeah.
have those in my baby room in my other house. Well, not like baby,
Yep.
like toddler room.
Yep.
My parents show me pictures, I can see it.
Yep, they're very, very bright. And so because they gave off a lot of light and they also don't give off as much heat. Like incandescent lights get hot. That, I mean, think about it. It was an incandescent light bulb in the Easy Bake Oven. It cooked food. So they get hot. So these aren't quite as, they don't mess up your climate as much in that room. So bioluminescence, right? This is when organisms produce their own light by chemical reactions between proteins and oxygen. What's an example of a bioluminescent organism? Oh, Lewis.
Fungi.
Fungi is a good one. All right, Carlos.
Jellyfish.
Jellyfish. There you go. Nico.
Fireflies.
What now?
Fireflies.
Fireflies. It's a great one. Who else? Darcy.
Certain types of shrimp.
Okay, Darcy's got one.
I'm sorry, krill.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Plankton.
Plankton. Yeah, phytoplankton. Yeah, those are really cool. Actually, I really want to. Have you seen they make little orbs, little glass orbs?
Yeah,
I
we
want
watched
one.
it on a David Attenborough.
I want one.
It's
They're really cool. They all light up and they glow. Yep. And then you've got certain types of algae and you get that going, like the whole glowing thing. And oh, who's seen Life of Pi in the movie? You remember the part where there was all the bioluminescent like plankton in the water and the water was glowing, and yeah, it's really cool.
Moana with the crab.
Yes, yes, you're right. There was a Moana too. Yeah.
Miss Danny, have you seen Life of Brian?
Yes, of course.
I haven't, but I'm gonna see it soon.
Oh.
Clips.
It's a Monty Python. Your brother would enjoy it. All right, so LEDs, they create light using semiconductors that emit light when electric current passes through them. They are 90% more efficient than incandescent lights, and this is why we are not seeing as many incandescent light bulbs in homes anymore. Like these are all LED, LED. I have LED mostly in the house now because they're
LED.
yeah, they're way more efficient. Like they don't burn out, right? So you don't have to replace them as often, and then they don't they don't burn out like incandescent ones did. And then they last longer, so there's that, and then they don't give off heat. Like you can touch an LED light bulb, it's not really hot, right? Like not if you touch an incandescent bulb, it will burn you. So yeah, much more efficient. All right, and then lastly, lasers. Okay. So lasers generate a beam of coherent light. We call it coherent light, which means it's like all together. It's not scattered or weird. Laser light is emitted when excited atoms of a solid, liquid, or gas emit protons. Remember what protons are?
Yes.
What are protons?
Protons are.
Oh,
the
that's a
ones
proton.
from the sun.
This is photons, emit photons. But what are protons? Protons are in an atom,
The
and they're
opposite of photon.
yeah. So protons are your positively charged particles in an atom. Where in an atom would you find them? You know?
I want to say the center. But
Yeah,
oh,
they're in the
okay.
nucleus. Protons and neutrons are in the center of an atom, and then electrons are on the outside, kind of whizzing around, right? And photons are little packets of energy, like little electron packets. So photon and proton are not the same thing. Photon, do you see the root word there? What's the root? What's the Greek or Latin root in that word, do you suppose? Yeah, photo. What does that mean?
What is it? I remember.
Put it together this way. What graph means to what? To write. Okay, so what's a photograph?
Picture graph? Picture graph?
It's what? You're close.
No.
Picture
To draw far away.
Writing the light. So photons, photo is light. Photosynthesis, photosensitive, right? So photo would be light. That's the root of that there. All right. So then you got photons, and then photograph would be you've written with the light, which is how you get a picture. Uh-huh.
And I watched a video about this, and it doesn't in LEDs. It kind of has these photons, excited photons, and they go to the other side where they relax, and then they emit light.
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah. So what is this one?
A laser.
Let's all vote.
Laser.
Anybody think it's anything other than laser?
It's a concentrated beam of light.
Yeah.
Neon.
You're right. It's a laser. It's a laser. How come we can see the whole beam? What does that tell you about
There's a wall.
Yeah, you can see where it's hitting. There's a wall, but the reason you can see that whole beam is there's probably something in the air,
It's
like dust or water.
dark.
Yeah, dust or water. Now, we have rules about lasers here about like laser pointers. they can only go but so far, and they can only be but so strong, right? You shouldn't point them at airplanes, you shouldn't point them at people. Well, years ago, when my family took a trip to China, we went to what my friend called the fake market. And it was, the way she described it is everything there is either a like cheap copy of some other product, or I love this one, fell off the factory floor, which means someone stole the real designer bag made in China and then put it in the fake market, fell off the factory floor.
They were
Don't really
killed those
fall.
fans on the street.
Yeah, they're liberated. Yeah. So we got, Cole got a laser pointer when we were there, and it was green, but it was so strong that it would, I mean, you could shoot it way, 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 way out into the woods and hit a tree with it and see it. So Jason was like, I'm pretty sure that is illegal here. So please don't ever put it at an airplane or a car or anything. It was really, really went a long way.
We were on a camping trip, and they had a green, and one of my friends had a green laser, and then I also had another friend. His name was Oz, and he's a bit of
Odd duck?
I feel like a bad influence friend. Well, one of those friends. I am.
Okay.
Most of my male friend mom consider me to like kind of rein the boys in.
Oh yeah,
But-
that was me. That was my
but-
job. Yeah.
The other friend didn't give the Oz that laser pointer because he would definitely point it at an arrow.
When we do biology, we talk a little bit about psychology and learning and things. And one thing we talk about is cognitive behavioral learning, which is like that there are several types, but it's kind of like, you know, the rat comes and pushes a pedal and you give it a treat, and every time it pushes the button it gets a treat or whatever, and then it learns that I push the button, I get a treat. Like the first time it was just messing around, I pushed the button, got a treat. Probably took it several times to make the connection that this means this, right? But I was unaware of this as a 6th grade girl, but we were still in elementary school because we didn't do middle school, we did junior high. But I sat with the boys, and my mother would pack me extra food. This is ridiculous. But I would flip the lid. I had one of those little hard plastic lunch boxes. Flip it open, and there'd be like 4 or 5 boys around me. And I would like take a grape or a Cheeto, and I'd be like, this is William, this is Sydney, this is whoever. And I gave them on, that was their line. And if they were nice and polite and chewed with their mouth shut and weren't rude, I would keep adding food to their little line. I'm not kidding. Like, and then if they were rude, I would take it away and eat it in front of them. And at the end of lunch, these 12-year-old boys, 11-year-old boys would take their little line of food. I had no idea what I was doing. I was basically conditioning, like 11, 12-year-old boys had no idea what I was doing, but it's so funny that they did that. All right, so laser. What's this one? We all know this one. What's this? LEDs. Yeah, LEDs are great, and we use them. I got them in here.
I got mine blinding my shelf.
Yep. And they're in there. Like most of my light bulbs are LEDs now.
I have this strip bar that like it's really cool.
They're really fun. All right, what kind is this one?
Oh,
That's incandescent. Do you see this little line right here?
Yeah.
That's the filament that glows and produces the light. That's the thing that also breaks, right? When a light bulb blows. All right, what's this one?
Oh, that's
Okay, let's see. We haven't had fluorescent. Is it fluorescent?
No.
We haven't had neon. Is it neon?
No.
How about sodium vapor?
Yeah.
Okay, tungsten halogen.
Yes.
Yes.
We're torn. I love it. Okay, this one is tungsten halogen. Okay, see those little prongs right here? If you unplugged it, it has little prongs. Those are usually the tungsten halogen ones.
No, I've actually poked myself on those.
Yeah, it's not a lot of fun. Yeah. All right. What are these?
Sodium
Fluorescent.
These are fluorescent. These ones that are they're long tubes like that. You see how it's kind of like a blue light? They're not always that way, but quite often they are, and they flutter, and it's UV light. And they've done some studies recently about people that work in offices and are always surrounded by that kind of light.
They're not great for you.
It can have some effect on like your it's almost like we're programmed, we have certain rhythms, because we're animals, right? We have certain like day-night rhythms, and our brains are meant to absorb certain wavelengths of light at certain times a day. And it can kind of throw that off a little bit, actually, if you work all day with that.
Me and my brother, we were listening to this book called Atomic Habits.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like basically it just did different things on different people, like different studies.
Oh yeah.
And it's reinforcing habits.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Mhm.
in people who went to offices, like,
Yeah.
they changed the lights.
Mhm.
People went to offices with those type of lights.
Yeah.
They got home, they're more tired.
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
But people who went with, I don't know, different lights or something.
Or just daylight. Yeah. We absorb certain things from the sun, like vitamin D, that's out in the sun, and other stuff like that. And we're not like, we have replicated daytime inside by producing all this artificial light, but it's not the same as what we get from the sun. So we're realizing that now. It's been a while. We've been at it for a while, and we're like, maybe we messed something up.
So like if I would, like I told you, if I was going to work at a state park, I'd probably be healthier and less.
There you go.
tired
Yeah, because you'd be
if I
outside.
was going to be an anime.
Yep. There you go. All right. So fluorescent light. Oh, and well, this one's easy. What's this one? Bioluminescent. Yeah. Have you heard the stuff about blue light at night? So we get a lot of blue light through our devices, blue wavelengths, and it can actually mess up your sleep patterns. They say like you shouldn't be looking at your devices like an hour before bed, like some people say.
The
And then they
glasses.
blue blocking glasses. And here's something else that's really interesting about light. So like I said, all this light, we have all these different wavelengths, right? We have this whole spectrum coming in, all this different colors of light. So a couple years ago, my father-in-law had cataract surgery. Do you know what cataracts are? You probably know a lot of people get, yeah. So the lens in your eye, which is actually hard, like it's a hard little thing in your eyeball, but yeah, it gets cloudy and it's hard to see through. So what they do now is they've been doing it for years, but they have a surgery where they go in and they pop out your lens and they put in an artificial one. And if you have vision correction problems, they put in a lens that corrects your vision. It's really cool. So it's like internal contacts or glasses, right? But they put that lens in. So the problem is that when you have a cataract and it's cloudy, it's filtering some of the light. And a lot of what it filters is the blue wavelength, okay? So this is what happened to him. And my father-in-law was a fighter pilot. So he has perfect vision, has had perfect vision his whole life. You have to have perfect vision if you're gonna be a pilot. They don't let you correct it, fighter pilot. So when he had the cataract surgery and suddenly he had a clearer lens and no more cloud, everything looked blue and he was a little panicked. And the reason everything looked blue is because his brain, so like if I know what color my floor is, I know what color my walls are, my brain knows that, but your eyes are filtering the light. So over time, as his lens got cloudier and cloudier and his blue light was being filtered differently, his brain adapted to recognize things the same way, despite the way the light was coming in. So after the surgery, suddenly the light was coming in and so much more blue light was getting in than before. And his brain had to learn again. It took like a week or two and things stopped looking blue for his brain to relearn what that meant, which is really crazy.
Like sometimes when I'm in the pool, I'll close my or in any water, and I'll just close my eyes and I'll be kind of like looking up. And then after, when I open my eyes again, everything looks kind of blue for about a minute.
Sometimes you can get that green kind of look. Yeah, it's weird. All right, so bioluminescent. All right, let's see what's next. What's this one?
That is
These are the sodium ones. Yep.
Oh, the ones in parking lots.
And you can hear them. Yeah, Yep, those are the ones in parking lots. Sodium vapor. All right, so what makes the neon signs glow? Let's watch.
Yes.
Oh, it's a video.
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
You're gonna show you how it works. Las Vegas is just full of neon, right?
Yeah.
Never been. Probably.
Do you know?
I'm gonna pause it 1 second and let it buffer.
Tickets on Super Bowl cost $8,000.
Not surprising.
Source of hydroelectric power
I don't know why.
and zapped a sleepy desert town to life, Las Vegas, Nevada. With a power supply and a dam, Las Vegas soon exploded with vibrant displays. The source of these dazzling lights was electrified neon gas. There are two tricky obstacles to making lighted signs out of this naturally clear, odorless gas: capturing it and making it glow. French inventor Georges Claude came up with techniques to do both. In 1902, he developed a way of liquefying and separating specific gases from the air, producing neon on an industrial scale for the first time. By 1910, he had come up with a way to trap the gas in a glass tube with a special electrode at either end, and neon lighting was born. In workshops like Claude's, artisans
why is
known
it-
as tube benders
There
made
it goes.
neon signs by hand. The tube benders heated small sections of a long
I
hollow
don't know why it's a
glass
blurry thing. It was clear as the day before.
into shape. After the glass cooled, they attached electrodes to each end and removed the air with a vacuum pump. Then they passed a high voltage current through the tube to remove any impurities on the inside of the glass. Finally, they pumped the neon gas in and sealed off the electrodes. When a neon sign is turned on, the electric current causes some of the neon atoms' electrons to accelerate and break free of their orbits, leaving behind positively.
Hold on, it's being weird. See, it's like buffering. I don't know why, but
As these free
Sorry.
electrons
Yeah.
rush from one electrode to the other, they collide with more neon atoms, causing them to ionize as well. When these excited electrons fall back to their normal energy levels, their excess energy is carried away by photons, or particles of light. All this happens in an instant, and the glow from the photons is what we see when we switch on a neon sign. Though it's common to call any gas-filled sign a neon sign, there are actually 5 different gases used in production.
being weird. I don't know why it's being terrible.
A silver white
There you
and
go.
xenon a light purple. These 5 gases can be combined with color-coded tubing to create an electrified rainbow of text and images. Business owners soon realized how effective these colorful beacons were for attracting customers. And unlike a light bulb, a neon sign has no incandescent filaments to burn out and can shine continuously for 40 years before the gas depletes. By the 1930s, neon signs were lighting up storefronts all over the world. Because of the glass tube's fragile nature, it usually wasn't feasible to ship them over long distances. Instead, most neon signs were created by local neon shops and then installed nearby. Signs with humor, personality, and intricate designs proliferated. No two exactly alike.
I don't know why it's not showing up. Something is weird.
They viewed as old-fashioned. Today, neon sign production is only a fraction of what it was at its peak. The craft of tube bending lives on relatively unchanged. New creations handcrafted by local artisans join survivors from the heyday of neon, hiding in plain sight in city streets around the world.
It's being weird, but we can watch it later. It's probably going to be better because it's being weird. So anyway, this is what neon looks like, right? Right. And a lot of these now are not even neon. They're just like LED strands they put inside of
There's a
acrylic.
rainbow one.
Right. They're very cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit about wireless communication for the next couple minutes. All right, so in the term AM radio, what's the AM stand for, Eunice?
Amplitude modulation.
Amplitude modulation. What's modulation mean?
Similar to moderation.
Mm,
Or not. You
No.
know what? Don't listen to me.
somebody, do you know?
Travels.
You know?
Is it amplitude or modulation?
Modulation, what's that mean?
Modulation, like kind of adjust or kind of like make a change.
That's close. That's real close.
It's
So
just the amplitude.
yeah, let's ask what the amplitude means. Let's see. What does she say for so Alexa, what's the definition of modulation?
Modulation is the process of altering certain characteristics of a carrier wave to represent information in the form of waves.
There you
It
go.
involves converting data into waves and adjusting the carrier
Alexa,
wave.
stop. So there you go. changing certain characteristics. So Emma was pretty spot on. So we're changing the characteristic of the amplitude, right? That's AM radio. So the frequency of these radio waves remain constant and the information is encoded in changes in the amplitude. So it's passing through the same point at exactly the same rate, but you've got higher and lower crests and troughs, right? So at the broadcasting station, music and speech are converted from sound into electronic signals, and the electronic signals for AM broadcasts are then converted into pattern of changes in the amplitude of a radio wave. AM radio. So AM radio is, a lot of it is talk radio nowadays. So if you listen to talk radio that's not on like a podcast or whatever, not on iHeartRadio or something like that, that's used to be AM radio. So, and a lot of AM radio stations have, they're usually like a 3 numbers and a code, a letter code, right? Okay. Do y'all even listen to AM FM radio? Anybody even listen to FM radio?
Star 94.
Okay, that's a local one,
That's
right? That's FM.
101.5 with Contd in Dallas.
So you do. So there are a lot of people are just kind of satellite these days, right? And I do mostly satellite. So what's FM stand for then?
Big frequency.
Frequency modulation. So in this case, you've got an amplitude that's steady, but the frequency is changing. So in one, we have it AM, it's passing through the same point at the same rate, but we have higher crests and lower troughs, and a bigger difference from the equilibrium. Whereas in FM, you've got basically your amplitude is the same, but it's passing through the same point at a different rate, right? So FM signals travel as changes or modulations in the frequency of a wave. If you listen to radio in your car and it's playing popular music, it's probably FM. AM doesn't do as much of that. So local broadcast TV, local broadcast television is carried on radio waves, though most of us use newer technology with TVs in our homes, like digital, laser driven, fiber optic, satellite. That's what we use for the most part now. Yeah. But if you ever watch
YouTube TV.
the local news and you don't have Dish or something like that, then you'd be watching it. You ever seen the TVs with these on them? You see these?
The olden day shows.
Yes.
Black and white.
Do you know what those are called?
Antennas?
It's an antenna, but do you know what we called them? Rabbit ears? See how they look like rabbit
You
ears?
used to have to bend them to get.
Yes, you used to have to go up to your TV and bend them around, and sometimes people put like big
Aluminum
balls of,
foil.
yeah, aluminum foil on them to make it. I had these, yeah, your parents had these, I'm
Miss
sure.
Melanie,
Uh-huh.
Back then, your little sister was a remote.
No, yeah, that's true. That's true. Whoever the youngest kid was the one who had to get up and change a channel because there was no remote. You had to click a dial. Click. Whoever was smallest would be the one. You'd be like, you get up and do it. Yep.
In the olden days.
Yep. Cellular telephones transmit and receive signals using what? What do we use? I'm gonna try, Emma.
That's a BlackBerry.
But sure, nobody's sure. So high frequency radio waves. Okay, so it's still radio waves. Cell phone antennas. These are the ones that have, it's like a triangle at the top. They've got
Oh yeah, like the
Yes.
ones near Sam's Club.
yeah, they have these cylindrical deals on the big pole, and then it's like a triangular shape at the top. It's got 3 points,
Oh.
and a lot of times they disguise them.
They're
Did you see in there?
Yeah, the
Tea
cactus
trees.
one makes me laugh. The
Which one, the
cactus.
cactus? Yeah,
They're doing these underground now, I think.
they might, yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
But they have them underground.
Yep. So they have all these big antennas, and I think most of the cell stuff is they're still cell towers. So the reason it's called a cell phone is this. So you have an antenna, and that antenna takes care of a certain amount of space. That space is a cell. Then there's another cell next to it. Sort of like if you picture like a beehive with a honeycomb. If there was an antenna in the center of every honeycomb, that's how they work. So this is how they can track your cell phone, right? They can see where you were at a certain time because they know what antenna you're hitting off of. They don't necessarily know where you were. Hey guys in the pub, can you keep it down a little bit? Thank you. Wow. Anyway, they don't necessarily know exactly where you are, but they can tell what cell you're in, and they can tell if you're moving from cell to cell to cell.
Sounds like jails.
And there used to be far fewer of these, and you'd lose coverage, but now they're pretty much everywhere. So landline telephones, that should say are, that's a thing, are becoming less common, but the cordless type of landline phone uses radio waves to communicate with between a handset and a base. So if you have a phone in your house that's a landline, does anybody have a landline phone?
I used to.
I used to,
I
yeah.
have,
You don't even have it anymore.
my grandparents.
Here was the bonus to a landline phone. If you called, say you called 911 from a landline phone, which is a phone that's plugged into a wall, right? Got a phone jack, you pick it up. You call 911, they know exactly where you are. Now on your cell phone, they don't know exactly where you are every time.
It's a state.
So they had to develop a kind of technology for helping to pinpoint cellular callers. I was telling Drew last night when we were driving home, we were going down 285 and the traffic was really bad because there was construction, and then it's 285 is like a roller derby anyway. It's terrifying, especially when you're a new driver. It's scary. So we're going down it, and I said to him, you need to really pay attention to the signs, and here's why, because you don't know where you are yet, like you're not really familiar with this area. And then when you're traveling, it's the same thing, because here's the thing, if there's an accident and you need to call 911 and they say, where are you? And you say, well, I'm on 285. That's not helpful. You need to say, I'm on 285, inner perimeter, and I'm about a mile from exit 31. Then they can find you. So you have to pay
You
attention.
know where the Chick-fil-A is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I added a 10. Yeah. All right. So history of cell
Oh,
phones.
dang, they rich. They got one in the car.
Yes, it's back in the day. Let's see if this works. The last video was not very good.
Back in my day.
Uh-huh. I had a dinosaur brick like that. I had a brick phone.
Those things are indestructible.
My husband works for Nokia. Yeah.
My brother had a bird photo just a cell phone.
So shh.
In fact, the original car phone weighed about 80 pounds. In 1947, an engineer at Bell Labs envisioned a futuristic phone network for their car phones. The call would bounce on an interrupt between cells of coverage. At the time, the technology and the infrastructure for this did not exist, but it soon would. The car phones quickly became popular, despite their limitations. Only a limited number of people could use the service at a time, which meant 5 to 10 year waiting lists began to form. And existing customers could sometimes wait up to 30 minutes to place a call. But then, in 1973, Motorola engineer Martin Cooper showed what the future would look like. The Dynatac 8000X.
Look at this
Based on
thing.
Bell's cell network concept, it was the world's first handheld cell phone. 10 years and a $100 million investment later, Motorola finally released the phone to the public.
My daughter a large pizza with mushrooms, anchovies, the hottest peppers you can find.
The decade-long delay was
Saved by the
caused
Bell.
the need to build the cellular infrastructure the phone was required to operate. The phone took 10 hours to charge, lasted 35 minutes, and cost $3,995. It would be about $10,000 today.
Yeah.
No.
You want to say there are only a few thousand cellular phones in use right now. But that number is expected to grow considerably within the next few years during the cellular revolution.
Ahead of its time, the IBM Simon could be considered the world's first smartphone, the world's first touchscreen phone, and the first phone to have software apps. It cost around $1,099 new, which would be around $1,800.
It's about the
today.
same. Like buying an iPhone, yeah.
That's
A Motorola flip phone, yep.
BlackBerry. That's what
I had one, yep.
I still have.
my mom had.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Indestructible. We had one of those.
Mhm.
And that my sister would play.
Apple is going to reinvent the
Oh, I
phone.
remember this.
What
I
we're going
remember
to do is get rid of all these buttons and just make a giant screen. A giant screen.
Jobs.
Just 1 month after one of the most popular BlackBerry devices was released, the original iPhone hit shelves nationwide. It would go on to sell more than 6 million units, with new models
Yeah,
introduced
my mom
every year. The iPhone would forever change mobile phones, the computer industry, and technology forever.
had it.
And so,
Oh wow, now we're really small.
okay, so we have that.
Today's
I was
cell phones
6.
are far cry from the $10,000 Dynatak phone of 1983. And for many people, the phone feature has become one of the least used features. But in the future, phones could make another drastic change. The World Economic Forum thinks the first implantable phones will become commercially available by 2020.
Yeah.
We don't have implantable phones.
Well, let's get the starter to
I
it.
want
No,
one, like,
thank
the
you.
shape of my brain. Isn't there that one guy? I forgot. It was a billionaire. Don't
That
know
is
his
gonna
name.
make the government easier
He's
to
doing
track
that
you.
Neuralink thing.
Oh, yeah.
What was that? Month?
A pager.
No, I think it was was it Musk or Branson?
It was
It's no
Elon
Branson.
Musk.
It's Branson.
Elon Musk has the neurotech.
Neuralink.
Yeah. So let's talk for the last couple minutes here. Let's talk about pagers. Okay, this is back in the day. So pagers are nearly extinct now. We've all got phones,
Can I
but they
use
still use them in medicine and certain other fields, right? So typically, a person needing to contact you would call your pager and type in what would you put into a pager? So you put in your phone number,
Oh.
and then you'd wait for them to call you back. So you'd have this thing. It would be I had one. So when you leave a message for a pager, the information is sent to a receiving station, it's coded, then it's sent to the pager. So my best friend was the queen of pagers. She had a pager in high school. To have a pager in high school was super cool. It meant one of two things. Either you were real popular or you were a drug dealer.
What?
Yeah, I'm serious, because they got a lot of high schools banned them because people were using them as part of their, this is how I'm selling and buying. I page my dude, and he, and then I make a purchase. That's how it was working. So you wear, it's this little thing, you'd wear it clipped to your waist or on your belt, and it would either vibrate or beep or both. Some people call them beepers, right? And you look at it, and there would be a screen, and on the screen there was either a phone number or a code. So for example, because the year of my Mustang is a 65, when I wanted to call my best friend or have my best friend call me back, I would just type in 65 and she'd know that was me. So she'd know if I was home. She knew my home number anyway, because we memorized numbers then, which we don't do anymore. You don't need to. And so she would call me. But there were other codes. And sometimes you'd just get a number and you have no idea what it is. So you find a phone, you call that number, and you'd say, hi, somebody paged me from this number. And they'd be like, oh yeah, I was looking for you, whatever. So aside from putting in your phone number, these were codes. All right, so this is how codes worked. So I'm going to show you the great pager codes of the 90s. So your parents will know these. I love you. This is hello, first of all. All right, why is this hello?
See it.
Imagine it flipped upside down.
Yeah, no, me and Lewis.
So 07734 is hello. I love you is 143. Why is it 143, do you think?
Like 3 and a half.
Yes, you got it. I love LOVE, 4 letters, you, 3. Emergency, call me right away was obviously 911. So usually, like if I needed my best friend to call me right away, I would do 65 space 911, and she would call back right away, right? I have a question, or I know something. Anybody want it? What would that be, do you think? This is a term we still use. What is 411? You ever heard anybody say, give me the 411 on what's going on?
The information.
411 is a number, it's an actual number called information. So if you have a landline phone, you could pick it up and call 411. That's all you had to dial. It's like 911 or any of these others. 411 was information. So you'd get an actual operator, and that person would direct you to whatever you needed. So maybe you needed a phone number for the movie theater at the mall. You'd call 411. There'd be a person, and you'd say, can I get the phone number for the AMC movie theater at the mall? And she'd give it to you. All right, what do you think good night would be?
It's gotta be 6.
It's
No.
nighty night.
Oh.
Got it? We were creative. I miss you. Whoa.
I can see it.
You see it if you kind of step back?
Yeah, look.
I
and then the
MISS.
7 is M, and then U is
you, right? That was I miss you. So this is how it worked. These were such fun.
Remember pagers? Back in the day, you couldn't just send a text message or call somebody. You had to page them with your number. They called you. That's right. Someone would call your pager number from a landline and leave their phone number as a text message. and then you stop whatever you're doing to call them back from a phone you may or may not be around. Sounds simple, right?
Go find a
You can
payphone.
use these secret pager codes with numbers. Here are some of the pager codes. 143 meant I love you. 187 means I hate you. 911 means call me back immediately.
Oh, got a page. It's Rick, 911, I better look at that phone.
Of course, if you were as mature as I was, you send codes like this.
Oh,
Plus, you were super cool if you got a page at a party.
That's me, guys. Hey, can I use your phone?
If you're super cool and had a pager, do you remember using these codes? Let me know in the comments.
So the one that was 80085, boobs, right?
What?
And then there was 800873555, which was boobless. And that was right. This is what we did. But that was my husband's code for my best friend. He used to just text her that all the time. He'd page her, and that's what he'd put in. And she would know it was him. So she'd call back and she'd be like, "Why did you pass that on me?" So she actually told him, because we were away at college, and he would just pick a random day and he would just send that to her pager, and she'd be like, "Jason," like she'd know it was him bothering him for no reason, just picking on her, right? So she told him after college one day, she said to him, "Look, don't you ever page me with that again unless you have something important to tell me." And he's like, "Okay." So the night we got engaged, she was the first person either of us contacted, and all he did was put that in, boobless. And 2 minutes later, I had a cell phone at the time, but it was like a dinosaur. It had a little antenna you pulled out, and my cell phone immediately starts ringing, and I pick it up. She's like, "What happened? Did it happen? Is what I think happened happened?" Like she was convinced that he was going to ask me to marry him. And she was right, but it was funny. That's how she found out that we had gotten engaged. Was she got the boobless text, and that's what it meant. So,
My mom actually, when she lived in Kansas, she got in trouble with her teacher because she memorized like in school they taught you to memorize 911.
Yeah.
If you had an emergency.
Yeah.
But my mom, because she lived on a college campus at the time, which it sounds really cool.
Yeah. It's fun.
She had to dial another number to connect her to the out, so she had to dial 991.
Yeah, you had to dial 9 to get out.
So everyone, so her she got like in a little truck, not like a huge one.
Yeah,
She got
that
in
was
trouble
so that's